Atle and Nina, your book sees the green transition as a battle of modernities. What's a battle of modernities?
What we refer to is the rivalry between old carbon modernity, nuclear modernity, and now renewables coming in with eco-modernity. These are competing visions of how to shape modern society and how to power it. And actors behind these modernities are fighting for power and influence in markets, politics, and institutions.
What progress of eco-modernity does the book track?
Not so long ago, we used to say atom is our friend. That was nuclear modernity, which was very influential, and some environmental thinkers still believe in it. Then there is a carbon modernity, which is very attractive, especially in Eastern Europe, where people can't jump immediately from the carbon to the green transition.
Well, I can give you an example. I think the journey of photovoltaics across the world is a wonderful example of how global collaboration, implicit, not explicit, can take place. It all started out in NASA with the space agency pushing photovoltaics. But the story couldn't continue in the US because nobody would take up this technology and put it into energy use beyond NASA. It was then picked up by Japan after the petroleum oil shock with very high prices, and Japan developed it further, but the nuclear industry came up and took it off the agenda. Luckily, at that point, the German Energiewende started out, and the Germans picked it up and developed the technology further until the Chinese finally picked it up and mass-produced it. And it's now technologically available, both for the commercial American market again, and it could trigger big change in Africa.
Is it the same battle of modernities in different parts of the world, Atle?
Our book illustrates that the scene is very different across continents. China has tremendous growth and can actually trigger all modernities at the same time. So the battle is absent in China, as our colleague Jin Wang points out. Africa could also be at the beginning of green growth, a massive green growth Chinese style, but has to overcome a number of institutional and structural barriers, as pointed out by our African colleagues.
Is your book's stance pessimistic or optimistic about humanity's chances of escaping a climate Armageddon?
Eco-modernity is a huge, massive paradigm shift that has started already. This paradigm shift both in the economy, in technology, in science. However, I don't think it has yet entered culture. Without the cultural program or cultural perestroika, the cultural program of eco-modernity, I must admit I don't give it too much of a chance to take off. There has to be a supportive cultural cycle for all other cycles that are already engaged.
Atle?
Well, when it comes to the evidence our book provides, we see tendencies in both directions. On the one hand, the European Union and the United States have stabilized their emissions, but at a too high level. A big problem then is China, which is rapidly growing. And should China grow to the same level as the EU or the US per capita, we are seeing a climate explosion. So there's no chance of saving the 2-degree goal. The optimistic view, what we see is that we could actually go completely green in Europe by 2025, by the same growth curves that we've been seeing over the last years.
What are your views on the upcoming UN climate conference?
Let's think in terms of analogies. Being from Eastern Europe, I experienced a massive mobilization for human rights and the Helsinki Agreement signed in 1976, which changed the face of Europe because it gave the opposition the tool to fight for democracy. I do believe that there is another chance that now that the pressure is from all over the globe, that there is another chance for humanity to get its act together and to sign a similar agreement.
Atle, do you share the view?
Well, I'm kind of divided here. If Paris is going to focus on emissions trading and global agreements on emission reduction, mainly, I fear it could be another Copenhagen failure. However, there is more chance now for focusing on green growth, and we're seeing dynamic developments in several industries. We're seeing green cities emerging. So I think there is hope if we can trigger the green agenda and possibly get more local commitments than global agreements.
Great, thank you.